Do you see the score? 4-2 Penguins over the Blue Jackets this afternoon at Consol Energy Center. Rob, it really wasn't that exciting of a game, and we're not really here to talk about the game too much because this is trade deadline weekend, and this is what most fans want to hear about. The trade deadline comes up 3 o'clock Monday. Doesn't look like the Penguins are going to do much, but obviously that can change. And Rob, I spoke with Ray Shero at the end of the first period today, and I asked him how the market was for trades, and he started laughing before my question was over. I guess that pretty much sums up the way things are going around the league right now, and specifically with the Penguins.
I know you've been working the phones, Josh, talking to all the guys around the league about what's going on with their teams and their general managers and whatnot. I can tell you from the people I've talked to within the league, it's been the quietest lead up to a deadline that I've been a part of over the past 6 years. And I thought last year was pretty dry, so to speak, but there were still a lot of moves made. Right. You almost get the impression there won't even be a lot of moves made. I think, if there are a dozen tomorrow, I'd almost be surprised. And I was talking with one of the members of the Penguins front office hockey operations staff. They're having them on organizational meetings this week, and they said the deadline's just too early. Teams aren't out of it yet. Teams don't know where they stand. And I think that's a very valid point this time of year. There are just very few teams right now, Josh, that feel like they're out of the playoffs and want to sort of be in the position of dumping players or helping teams they're competing with. You got to remember, the average home playoff game brings in about $1 million for a team. So that's, that's a lot of money when you're thinking about that. So teams aren't going to be real willing to sort of take themselves out of that race with a month and a half left in the season.
Sure. And look at the standings. There's 26 teams that could make the playoffs right now, and that's the problem. It is not a buyer's market right now at all. And during that conversation with Shero, Rob, I had a chance to speak with Ray about Sidney Crosby, and basically the same old thing. Shero said he hopes Crosby's back, but he also said there are no guarantees. And we knew that all along, but he hasn't really said that yet. He's been saying all along, we're expecting Crosby back. And with that in mind, wanted to bring up a piece you wrote the other day about long-term injured reserve. It's something I think a lot of people talk about, but maybe people don't know that much about. Yeah. I know you were studying it. What do you think about it? And regarding specifically the Penguins and Crosby, what do you expect?
Well, it's a very nuanced and a very complicated subject to talk about, even though the concept itself is simple. LTIR was created so that cap teams like the Penguins could get some sort of insurance in terms of recalling players from the minors if they lost a player. So when you're thinking about it at the deadline, think of it this way. The Penguins have slightly under $1 million in prorated cap space, which is slightly under $4 million for the rest of the season to play with in terms of acquisitions. But Crosby's cap number, the $8.7 million, counts dollar for dollar because the Penguins have to leave open the possibility that Crosby will play again this regular season. So if they go and make moves with that money in mind, they wouldn't have him eligible to play for any games in the regular season. And they would be frowned upon greatly from the higher-ups in the league if it was presumed or even thought or if accusations were made that the Penguins were holding a healthy player, whether that be Sidney Crosby, Tyler Kennedy, anybody, out because they were trying to upgrade their team at the deadline and then only playing that player when he came back in the playoffs. So that's not something they're willing to do. And also, you got to remember, Sidney Crosby since January of 2012 has played all of 8 games? 2011, actually, January 2011. Yep. 8 games. So it's not like he just want to jump into the most intense games you get in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I know a lot of people are talking about why not just sit Crosby out the rest of the year, add players. Well, first of all, there aren't that many players to add. There's not a lot of sellers. And second of all, that's just not going to be something that happens. So Penguin fans need to forget about that. And one thing I think, Josh, and you're probably hearing the same thing, when the market is as limited as this, what you wonder about in the last 24 hours, and this will be something you see, I'm sure we'll see this on the video that we done on Tuesday, is that there might be something weird that happens over these final 24 hours. We're talking to Rick Nash. I know you talked to Rick Nash after the game. The guy, he's the big fish on the market. Something weird might happen that none of us are really thinking about yet. And the example I give with this is this. The Penguins got Barry and Host in 2008 in the final 3 hours.
Montreal already had a press conference called. They were so
exactly.
sure they had him.
They had a website set up ready, and the Penguins just swooped in. So right now you're hearing teams like San Jose and Toronto, and especially the New York Rangers. But don't be surprised if someone comes in from underneath, makes some sort of offer. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not saying we're hearing that, but that's what happens in situations like this. When you have one real big fish out there, Haase was the big fit that year. It was just like all of a sudden out of nowhere, he's a Pittsburgh Penguin. And you're like, wow, how did that happen? Right. So it'll be interesting covering the trade deadline first time for yourself by, hauling the load here. I know that's always what I was worried about. Like, Are the Penguins one of these teams that
Right.
sweep in late? I don't think that's going to be the
No,
case.
not
but,
with Nash,
you know,
but
you're not going to get to sleep a whole lot next 24 hours.
judging by my facial hair, I haven't slept much as it is. Maybe that'll change. Who knows? But Rob referenced it that we will be doing a special video tomorrow on all of the trade deadline coverage. We don't know what's going to happen. That's the fun of the trade deadline. But Rob, I think you'll agree, for fans, this is almost like Christmas Day. People absolutely love it. They want to see the Penguins make a move, even if they have one of the best teams in the league. Will they? Won't they? History says they will, but Ray Shero says right now they probably won't. So it should be interesting.
I always wondered what it's like to be a player and a coach. I mean, Dan Bousman was standing on this bench where we're shooting this video and knowing that there's a possibility that this could be the last time he coached that team. Because somebody might be gone. You never know. You just never know. They're the last minute. That's what makes it so great for fans. There's 2 days the NHL fans love. Trade deadline day, July 1st. 2 worst days for beat writers, 2 best days for fans. I'm just glad I'm not doing the heavy lifting this year, and he's the mug you're going to be seeing on all the videos.
Well, for Rob Rossi, I'm Josh Yohe, and a special thank you to Justin LeBar manning the camera. We'll be bringing you all of the trade deadline news tomorrow
Chris
afternoon.
Harlan for doing all the work today.
Chris Harlan for doing all the work. Let's not forget about him. For Rob Rossi, I'm Josh Yohe. This is Trib Total Media.